All right, in this video, we're going to show you what a linebacker does in football and the purpose of a linebacker. And the first thing is, why do they call them linebackers? And the reason they call them linebackers is because they're essentially the backer that's behind the line of scrimmage. And we're going to go a little bit more into the position itself and why the linebacker is so important. And coach, the linebackers essentially have to do everything, right? But the defensive line, they're more focusing on the run. Linebackers have to do a little bit of both, right? So let's talk about the purpose of the linebacker and why are linebackers important on the defense?
Yeah, there's so many positions that I feel like, especially now in modern day football, that the linebacker has to line up in, and different roles that they have to accomplish and really own in that position. As you can see in this 2x2 set with the 3 linebacker system we have drawn up here, we got guys that are going to be lining up in the box, in between that tackle box area within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, or they might be out of the box where they are having to cover a receiver. So there is a dual role to what they have to do. A lot of times, primarily, they'll be a run-first player, but also having that pass drop responsibility. So it's important for them to know what their assignment is on every play, where they might be coming on a blitz, if they do have to do that as well, fill in the run, what gap they have to own in the run fit, as well as what their coverage assignment, whether that be covering a slot receiver in a 2x2 or a 3x1 formation, or potentially covering a back out of the backfield, dropping into the flat, dropping into a hook curl zone, whatever the case may be. There's a multitude of responsibilities and roles that they might have to carry out on a given play.
Yeah, you mentioned the box too, and I think it's important to understand what the box is. And coach is talking about from tackle to tackle here. And what happens is if you have linebackers that are in the box, their primary responsibility is to play the run and to be aggressive for the run. If they're outside of the box, their main responsibility is usually to play the pass for teams that like to run the spread types of formations here. So that's when coach talks about the box, this is what we're referring to. Coach, we often see 3, 4, sometimes 1 linebacker sets. Does it matter the linebackers that are actually lining up, or can you use them interchangeably in different positions?
Yeah, I think you can somewhat use them interchangeably. I think in the modern defense that we kind of play in, there's a couple different main groupings. There's that guy that's going to be that middle linebacker that's always going to be in the box no matter what. There's that linebacker that if you do get a tight end attached, he'll have to play in the box a little bit more. A lot of times it'll be that like boundary linebacker. So he might have to go out and cover a slot. He might be in the box. So that's kind of that more true hybrid sense. Then you'll really have that third linebacker who is more of the space player. So unless if they're going that 2 tight end sets or bringing a fullback into the game, he's going to play out in space a lot, but also occasionally knowing that if they do go do that 2 tight end set, go to a 2-back look, he might have to bump into the box, but for the most part, he's going to be kind of more of that hybrid player to where he is going to play more of that pass responsibility and have to play more out in space.
Yeah, and that's the thing about the linebacker, right, is they have to have that dual athleticism to be able to play physically in the run game, but also athletically in the pass game. And what you're seeing on screen here, if a team does decide to go 2 tight ends, usually you'll see a linebacker, a more athletic linebacker, especially in the NFL nowadays. These linebackers can't be like they were 20 years ago where they were big, stocky, run-stopping linebackers. You need to be athletic to be able to cover tight ends, but also to be able to be physical in the run. So what we're seeing on screen is this linebacker might need to play here, or if he does flex out into the open, he might need to back up and play pass coverage. And you're seeing tight ends nowadays like the Rob Gronkowskis, the bigger bodies that can run downfield. These linebackers have to be able to run with them.
With those tight ends and seeing kind of how offenses are playing nowadays, you'll get those guys that can line up one snap being on the ball tight end, next snap they might be playing off the ball, another snap they might be in the backfield in the like a wing alignment or a flexed into the backfield with that running back, and then the next play they might be out wide like you mentioned before. So I think having that ability, especially from that boundary guy where he might have to line up in a variety of different places, and then once you get up to the higher levels or even some high school teams where you might be seeing one week you're going up against a team that runs 2 tight ends and a fullback, and then next week you might be going up against a team that runs all empty. So I think it's important to have different body types at those different positions, but at the end of the day, finding what works for you and works against the teams that you're playing to be able to cover a multitude of different positions on the field.
Yeah, exactly. And to learn more about linebackers, we do offer a complete course and a complete guide on football. So make sure you check that out at victorysports.com. We'll link that below. And we'll be coming out with videos in the upcoming weeks on what a safety is, a defensive lineman, so on and so forth. So make sure you subscribe, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time.